Ladies and gentlemen of the press, we'd like to commence a press conference. Today, we do not have the presence of the witness. Chairman Kurokawa will respond to your questions. So that will be the format of the press conference. Incidentally, we plan for half an hour press conference. Continuing on from the Commission meeting, simultaneous interpretation service is available. So if you are in need of the translation, please pick up the receiver. First, I'd like to call upon Dr. Kurokawa to give his summarization of the discussion of the Commission meeting, and then we will accept the questions from the floor. Chairman Kurokawa, please. Thank you. Today, we have the 6th meeting of the Commission. We had Mr. Muto, the former executive vice president, as well as the general manager of the nuclear power and siting a division of TEPCO, who was at the helm of the responsibility at the time of the accident. We had the discussion regarding the concept and philosophy on severe risks and the situation, the cause of the accident. Regarding the direct and indirect cause of the accident, the discussion today was very valuable. Today, we heard opinions of Mr. Muto. What we gained in a rough summarization would be summarized in the following points. The first one is the relationship with the local site politics and TEPCO. Another one is regarding the evacuation and venting. The operator licensee power company and the relationship of the Prime Minister's office, we felt that they were not fully convinced about the Kantei's involvement. Especially the director Yoshida's mobile number was asked by the Prime Minister, and the surrounding officials and the people did not know anything that was discussed. The second point is the power of the local site. Mr. Muto said that the local site has the primary responsibility in responding to the accident. On the other hand, was it equipped with the capability and competence to deal with that as TEPCO as a whole? It wasn't so clear. As a matter of consequence, it took time before venting. Hydrogen explosion happened, so we need to verify various processes and events during the accident. The third point. Prior to the accident, there was certain preparation, but we did not feel that the prior preparation was adequate. It's called the safety culture. The seismic resistant programs were introduced according to Mr. Muto, but we still wonder whether they were fully prepared for the eventuality of the accident. I think this uncertainty was reassured. For example, on and after 2006, questions were asked about the seismic back check. So immediately prior to March 11, certain facilities were not ensured about the seismic resistance. Equipment and piping were not ensured or verified. And tsunami was the overall cause of the accident according to TEPCO, but 2002 tsunami forecast was made, and at the local plant side, the risk was recognized. The risk had been recognized. There were certain people who recognized that, naturally, but Mr. Muto was not fully aware of such awareness of the preparedness or the shared safety culture within the corporation. Probably the concept of safety culture was not fully permeated throughout the corporation. So those main points were the impression that I can summarize of the discussion. So as far as our commission is concerned, what are we going to do going forward? So a great disaster became the trigger for the accident. There are so many documents and interviews. Just to follow those documents and literatures, it's an enormous work. But overall, there is a heavy burden upon the task of this country, Japan as a whole. So the victims, survivors, as well as the disaster-affected people, evacuees, speaking from their position, our commission must step up our efforts to look toward the issuance of the report that we target in the month of June. At the very outset, we mentioned the questionnaire survey at our commission. What is the current state of affairs regarding the evacuation? So we are soliciting cooperation of the evacuees. We also have the cooperation of the municipalities. We conduct the questionnaire survey so that we have the complete picture of the evacuation. Roughly 55,000 households were given, they gave the permission to do this questionnaire survey. It's not complete yet, so we are sending out a questionnaire survey. It's been third day, and the 10-some% response rate is registered. I look at the situation. I have many thoughts. There are so many people writing so many things, even to the backside of the questionnaire sheet. So there are heart-wrenching points that they express on the sheet. Eventually, we will be making an announcement about the result of the tally of the question sheet. It's been only third day since we issued the question sheet. We have more than 10% of response rate. So that is what I hear from the officials in charge of the questionnaire surveys. So this is the current progress status. Everybody's working very hard. Commission members are working day in and day out, having a lot of work to do. So we need your continued support so that we can have adequate dialogue with the people at large. Through the media people, we have the simultaneous interpretation. It is a live cast, not only in Japan, but we hope that this communication, this dialogue could be heard across the world. Thank you very much.
Then, ladies and gentlemen of the press, we would like to accept the question. Those of you who have questions, please raise your hand. And when you're designated, the staff will bring over the microphone. And please identify yourself by stating your name and affiliation. We would like to entertain as many questions as possible. So if you could limit to just one question each, please. The person in the third row, at the very end, please. My name is Kobayashi from NHK. You were talking about the video conferencing system of the TEPCO, that the commissioners that have seen the videotapes. How did you see the video and in what way? And you have also mentioned that where Prime Minister Khan appears, that there was no sound available. So if I could have your impression, Dr. Kurokawa. When I first heard of this, I was surprised. And we have, or the member of the working group requested, and they have seen the video, and they have reported to me, and that was included in the questioning during the commission meeting. Any other question, please?
Please use the microphone. If you need interpretation, please use the microphone. I didn't see everything. I think there are a lot of them, a lot of recordings. And as Mr. Tanaka mentioned, he was following about 1 hour or so, and I think that was raised as a question.
Next question, please. Nanao Nico Doga. Again, repeating the question. to the national public. The image can be made public. Do you have an idea of publicizing that image? If you want to do that, what will be the time frame of making that video available? And also, the users had questions. Some sound track was lost in a part of videotape. That's a question. The DVD you obtained is a master DVD, or they hastily erase the sound? Do you have an idea of following through the fact that sound is lacking? We didn't obtain that. They just let us see the video, the DVD. But just like this commission meeting, everything should be open. So the primary source is something that the Japanese people should confirm. So the original image should be shown to the Japanese people. Japanese people have the rights to see them. As NAIC, do you have a plan of making it public? To the extent possible, we would like to cover the report, and we want to include everything into our report. It is our responsibility. So you don't have the idea of publicizing the image? I don't think that is our duty. We requested and we were shown the video. That is all.
The next question in the front row on the far end, please. Okuyama from Mainichi Shimbun. In February, I had a contact with the Minister Hosono. In the website, the outline is given. But if you do you have any thoughts to publish the detailed minutes of the meeting? Minister Hosono wanted to explain about the new bill. And what we have made public here, and I have explained to him that there are certain challenging the problems. But you were the subject of the survey, so there are certain doubts that you were having some secret agreements. No, that was not the purpose of our meeting. Then you should try to disclose what you have done in detail. You need to give the explanation, what kind of questions you have asked of the minister. That should be made public to explain to the Japanese people. That, I believe, is to do with the judgment. That is a judgment call. I have been asked and I have given explanation, but the rule was not to contact with the parliamentarians. No. If it's the minister, I didn't think of any reason of refusing that. But my judgment was that we didn't have to disclose anything we have discussed. But isn't that in transparency? No. The minister said that he wanted to explain, so I thought it would be okay for me to meet with him, because minister wanted to give the explanation to me on the new bill, and I had no reason to refuse. It is not that I have asked him. And was it you who decided that it should not be disclosed? For the commission meetings, we are made public, but for the interviews and such, we have not made public. So in the process of that, it was not disclosed.
Please.
質問、南ドイツ新聞内田と申します。Some of what Mr. Muto said today was obviously inconsistent with what TEPCO said before. Now, how do you assess his truthfulness? And do you now regret that you can't make him give his deposition under oath? Thanks.
ちょっと質問の意味はわからないんですけれども。
I didn't understand the gist of your question. What we heard from his remarks, there was no consistency between what TEPCO had said and what he said in this meeting. Is it what?
Consistent between what he said now and what TEPCO said before. So what is truthful? And do you think he should give his deposition under oath anyway?
それは私たちが
I don't know whether that is something that we should be verifying. We are acting according to the rule. So it's up to you what you think, but I think we are doing according to the rule.
Any other questions? The person in the middle, the brown jacket, please. freelance. My name is Fujita. The commission such as this, whether this should be done in public or not, I'm pretty sure that was discussed at the initial phase. There must be pros and cons of making it public. As a chair, what do you think of those pros and cons? Because the person who was living near the nuclear power plant said, Mr. Muto, senior vice president, looks like that he wanted to say something, but he was clenching his feet. He was grinding his teeth. He didn't say. So where was the truth? What are the countermeasures? What should be the countermeasures? For this commission to assume this role, I think there might be some obstacles in keeping it public. So your comments on that, please. Regarding that, as the Act says, in principle, should be public. So whether everything should be made public or not, I think this is up to us to decide. But in principle, it should be public. So as much as possible, we are making it public. Anything else?
Any other question? Yes, the person wearing a sweater at the center, please. My name is Miyajima from the monthly magazine, The Factor. Now, the ministers and the prime minister, the top leadership and the relationship with the site and the TEPCO headquarters, the relationship amongst those would hold the key. So the Prime Minister and Minister Edano, including, and also Minister Kaeda, including those people who are on the fifth floor and so forth. And the Diet has already done, but to ask them to be the witness at this commission, perhaps at the early stage, you need to do that. For the Prime Minister's office, the fifth floor for the people, are you thinking of asking them to be the witness at this commission? And TEPCO, their explanation is not sufficient enough. As Dr. Kurokawa has mentioned, that the cell phone number of Mr. Yoshida has been asked, and President Shimizu, who had communication directly with Minister Kaeda, I'm sure all of those things must also be revealed. So I would like to ask about what may be your decision and the footworks, so to speak, going forward. That is what we need to decide and judge, and we will eventually going through those steps. But when and who is what we are discussing right now. That would depend on the case. I'm not really sure whether we would be able to go to that extent. Of course, the manpower constraints and such, that must be thought about. And as gradually things are being revealed, how to deal with them with the limited manpower is a question. Yes, that we are making efforts. Any other question, please?
In the back row, someone in the middle, please. Yes. Sankei newspaper. My name is Oya. About the video conferencing, about the sound, to the extent you know, let me know. Since when do we have that, and for how long, for how many days it was recorded, and which portion did you see? I didn't actually see this myself. It's part of the investigation. So since which date is there the record? Why don't you ask the question to them? TEPCO, are they holding the press conference every day? Aren't they? And everybody can be there. So I think one way for you to ask this question is to use that. May not my place to say this.
Other question? The person in the center? Front row? Freelance journalist Kino. The image of a video conference, basically, since when TEPCO does not talk about it, and whether they have it or not, TEPCO does not make it clear in their press conference. That's why we ask this question at this Commission's press briefing. If you can confirm, especially at your Commission from the first day of the accident, I think there is a need for confirming with the TEPCO about the presence of the tape. We are investigating it. We are in the process of investigation. So not only the portion that you talked about yesterday, but other portions. Well, I cannot make any comments. We have a mandate. So how much is it related with our mandate? I am not sure. What about the necessity of verifying it? Well, my question is, what do you think, the media people? We believe it is necessary. Then what is the work that you can do on your side? Well, is that it? Well, we will prioritize on our work, but the information, are we going to do that? That's a strange question that should come from the press.
Next question, please. Yes, in the front row, the person next to the camera. My name is Nishinaka. I'm a freelance journalist. Before the press conference have started, you have briefly explained about the questionnaire survey. The Fukushima prefecture, the 12 municipalities, were those subjected to the evacuation orders. So I believe the developments until the designation for the evacuation, it started from 10 kilometers, the 12 kilometers, the 20 kilometers, and 30 kilometers, from no entry zone to the restricted area planned evacuation zone, as well as the deliberate evacuation areas and so forth. It has gradually been expanded as well as upgraded. In any case, basically within the 10 kilometers, they had to evacuate. But then in the middle and towards the end of March, there were many people still remaining because certain experts went there and said that it was quite safe, like Idate, the village, as well as Tamura and so forth. But ultimately, the planned evacuation zone was designated. So before going to these 12 municipalities, you must investigate how the zones that have been decided. So 50 millisievert, and there are 3 categories in terms of the half-life, the period, and so forth. You needed to verify on the steps that have been taken. If you just limit to the 12 municipalities, the source of information may be quite limited. So would you be willing to make a survey here on much broader areas as well as in the other aspects? Well, the zoning or the categorization, as you may so, you have to base yourself on different factors like radiation and so forth. And we have not seen any the research that have been done for everyone. So we have thought about the random the selection. So we have ultimately decided on the 20,000 households. In any case, in the backdrop of that is the response. How we analyze the response of those who are surveyed would hold the key. And then after make the analysis, then on top of that, you should also make investigation how the zoning and areas have been decided. Now, after we made the analysis, maybe we should consider and think about how we would go about. In setting the areas, we have limited to just 12 municipalities, but for the persons who may have evacuated most probably. We have selected them, and there were in total 55,000 households. And on a random basis, we have selected 20,000 ultimately. What about the health issue? The initial the exposure to radiation and so forth, we would be including that information in your questionnaire. And also how the government responded as well. That will also be questioned. We will be looking at the actual situation and circumstances of evacuation. The health is actually excluded. We have Ms. Sakiyama and so forth as a commissioner, and how to control about the health effects and so forth is relevant. We are trying to provide assistance for the evacuees. If it be too large a group to be assessed, it may be meaningless. We have to have the methodology. So we have chosen this method. And there are people who are responding and writing in their comments in detail, but some do not. Any other question, please?
4th row, someone in the back, the person in the back. Freelance journalist, Kamide is my name. Overlapping with the questions the prior questions. You summarized today's commission, and looking into the root causes is very important, and preventing the occurrence is also important. Many issues are happening at the same time. As was mentioned before, the media power cannot be actually reached, and several things have remained unpublished, even it's still midway. And when the general public have questions, it should be published. You are the only organization that can use the administrative investigation rights. I think there was a comment made from the government investigative committee. There are the questions asked from the general public, and to what extent can you take that kind of agile activities to the explanation that can be done because of that administrative investigation rights. If you have that, I would like you to share that with us. In principle, when we reach a certain consensus, I think we can share that with you. But this is still an ongoing process. I would like you to wait until June. That issue, for instance, regarding the regulatory agency, that's urgent. That's why that was already shared with you. So from that perspective, I think there are many questions that the general public want to ask. To the extent possible, we would like to answer them. But to what extent can we actually meet the expectations? It's rather difficult for me to say. Because about the investigations, are ongoing, hearings are also ongoing. So all I could say at this moment is to please look at what we are doing.
Time is running short. So the person in the second row, please. Suzuki Asahi Shimbun Newspaper Company. Again, the video clip from a video conference. There is one point I want to confirm with you. There is a lack of a soundtrack. According to TEPCO's explanation, it wasn't recorded from the very beginning, or in providing the video, the sound was erased. Was there an agreement if the case is the latter? Then you have a very strong investigative authority bestowed by the National Diet. You should be very strong. So I think because of the legally constituted investigative power, I think the video with the soundtrack is necessary for your investigation. According to what we heard, sound was not accompanying from the very beginning. That's what we heard.
So the last question. The person in the third row at the very end, please. Yamazaki from NHK. Now, at the very beginning, you have given us a summary of the Commission meeting. And I believe there were some comments from the members of the Commission. But frankly, Mr. Muto seems to have done his best. That's to say that he has trying to defend himself in his comments that he has done his best. But at the end, what he said have given the very essence of his testimony. That they should have had perhaps more flexibility in thinking of the different standards, and perhaps that may have been the reason why they were not able to prevent the accident this time. So what I would like to ask you, Dr. Kurokawa, is after interviewing Mr. Muto, so where were the key points of his testimony, would you say? I believe the impression would be different from person to person. So my own personal impression would be they have their own position in their own capacity to think about the country, think about the people, and try to take the responsibility in their job, commensurate with their position. Everything would boil down to that question. So, no more question? Okay, thank you very much. We have, sorry, then one last question, please.
the minutes from the headquarters concerning the nuclear disaster. We have now those minutes, but from Mr. Kurokawa to them, these are really the minutes of the proceedings. But there are those backup memorandum and the others, I'm pretty sure. But the administration your commission, to what extent have they been cooperating? To what extent have they been submitting them when you demand the materials? To what extent have they been collaborating with you? This has been studied, and regarding the materials, we are receiving them, but we don't know how much we have received, whether that's going to be 20% or 10%, 50%, because we don't really know the denominator. It's difficult to say. Previously, TEPCO, and as a witness, it was mentioned that the requests have been expressed, but some resistance has been felt. Regarding witnesses, have they been cooperating, or are they coming up with some kind of excuses? And is it rather difficult for you to get that kind of cooperation from witnesses? So far, I haven't felt so much difficulty.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. With this, we would like to conclude our press conference. Would that be all right? Well, after all, Ms. Hachiska, she lives right next to Fukushima Daiichi power plant. And she used to live there, and she made a comment that was really touching, what Ms. Hachiska said. Come to think of it, we went that area with the commission members staying over one night. So then we came in direct contact with the evacuees, and just like in the case of a questionnaire survey, we would like to reflect the wills of the people, Japanese people. Next week, on Monday, 19th of this month, from 1500, we will have people from Ukraine, Chernobyl-related experts. So we will have 4 witnesses. I hope that you will be present at our next commission meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming.